Hi, it's Janice Davies here, Success Attitude Specialist and Transformational Life and Intuitive Coach. Today I'm sharing a topic about anxiety. So the video series is about different topics that people want some tips on. So I'm going to be talking about the causes, the problems and the solutions of it. So today's topic is about anxiety. And anxiety is actually just a thought you have in your head, because you may be anxious about something and somebody else in the same room isn't anxious about them, versus that you are in a tricky situation and everyone in the room is anxious about it. So it's something that's happening inside your head. Now, it's a thought. Wikipedia says the causes of anxiety are an unpleasant state of inner turmoil, and the excessive that is causing damages or challenges in your everyday situations. So now, if anxiety is a phobia, then, where it's that you can't go out of your house, or, it's extreme, obviously that it's going to need somebody professional to be able to help you to work through that. But generally, and I am just referring to my notes again, which I've got, generally with anxiety, that's one way that it can happen. A situation happens to you, or the other way it can be hereditary. And I want to share this little story because this was something happened to me when I was a young parent. So I did the parenting training, and we were taught that if we didn't like something, not to pass that on to our children. Now, I'm not a great worm lover and I'm not a great spider lover. But rather than say to my daughters, oh, look at that worm and the horrible, it feels yucky, or look at that spider, it was about turning it around and saying to them, well, the worms are really, really great in the garden. If they're not in the garden, they turn the soil over and they make the soil better so that our vegetables and our flowers grow, etc. So we're looking at it from a different angle. And the same with spiders, is that, spiders are good, they catch flies and all that sort of thing. So it's some of our anxieties, another way that we can get them is it's actually passed down from other people in our lives. Now, whatever your anxiety is, it's very real for you until you decide to make some changes for it. Now, if your anxiety is affecting your everyday life, as I said, professional help is needed. But the other thing that you can do, if you've got anxiety, it's about looking at what exactly it is. Is it crossing the road? Is it something, is it about your future? Is your future uncertain? Is it about living alone? Is it whatever? And then to be able to eliminate some of the things that are making you feel anxious. I just had a friend call in and she said she'd watched 2 movies the last 2 nights. They were true stories about, one was about an oil spillage and how people had been hurt, and the other one I can't quite remember what about, but basically there was bad news and they shouldn't have happened, but they did happen, and these were movies, documentaries, and so she'd got really, really angry about them because they, something that shouldn't happen. So I suggested, don't watch those videos, don't watch that TV that makes you feel upset. Now, there's a lot happening in the news. We only see 90% of the bad news, and sure, in fact, we can't do anything about 90% of it either, 99% of it, yet we take it on board and we get anxious about it. So the better way to do it is to choose, if you're going to watch the news. I don't watch the news at all, except we've had the fires in Australia where my daughters are, so I've watched a little bit of that recently. But it's about you making a decision about what are the things, the negative things that are going to be happening in your life. Defining what it is. Yes, we can worry about climate change, and I'm not saying it's not happening, but what can we actually do? We can do a little bit that we can do in our sphere of influence, rather than being anxious about it globally and for the rest of the world. We can do our little thing that we can do. And so you've got to look at what the anxiety is that you have. So some of the other solutions that have come up about thinking differently about anxiety, and as I told you about what I did with the worm and the spider. So there's some research that's shown that in one of the cities in the USA, a group of people that meditated said they were going to do an exercise, and they were going to meditate at exactly the same time for 3 months. And by doing that, they were going to reduce the crime rate. Now, the chief of police said, rubbish, it's not going to work. However, after 3 months, the crime rate had actually diminished 22%. So is that proof? Well, it seems very strange if it didn't happen. So yeah, so we're looking at that state of mind that you can put yourself into with the meditation to calm your mind, because that's basically what calming is. It's putting your mind into a stopping all the turmoil that's going on there. And one of the things that I do as well is use Ho'oponopono, which is a saying, well, I got it from the book from Dr. Joe Vitale, which is from Hawaii, an ancient ritual, and I can't say his name, but it's, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And by repeating that over and over again, what you're doing is you're just actually stopping your mind from thinking of all the inner turmoil that's going on, and it's putting it in neutral, like you're putting your car in neutral. So another thing that's happened, which, and this was just last week, so with the climate change, the big fires in Australia, however, you know, what's happened over there is that globally there's been people donating. Elton John, we've had movie stars donating money, we've had people doing all sorts of things to be able to help, and help the wildlife too. That has been, unfortunately, has some of them haven't survived, but then restoring what can be restored. But what they did was there was a global prayer that was happening as well, and that in certain parts of the world you were given your time and you could pray to be able to think for 3 minutes about drizzle and rain coming to those parts of that part of Australia. I took a part in that. Now, again, what happened was that rain appeared in parts of Australia. So again, whether it was going to happen without the prayer or whether it happened because of the prayer or because, we don't know. But the thing is, that's another thing that you can do when you are anxious, because if you've got nothing that you're aiming for, you're going willy-nilly around in life. You're with negative people, you've got negative things on the news, you're online talking about negative stuff. And another friend I was just talking to who's just made changes, and it's all because of they've had enough of the negativity, because you get to sort of like the bottom of the barrel, and then you make change. So with anxiety, it's what's causing you anxiety. Come up with some dreams. Look at the dreams that you haven't achieved. Find ways, get coaching, have a free call with me if you want, but find ways how you can make things happen in your life that are positive rather than focus on the negative. So I hope that helps with some tips about anxiety, because in the end it's learning to love yourself enough that you're following your dreams and goals and making your life better for yourself.